Mindset coach Andre Nel joins us again here on eRadio SA for our weekly discussion. And today there's one very big difference, and that is he is no longer in China. You'll probably notice also less of a delay, a better quality in audio, and maybe the sound of a braai. Maybe the sound of a braai in the background. I don't know. Andre, since you've been back, have you braaied already?
I have braaied once, yes.
That's good enough.
I wasn't the braaier. I didn't get to click the tongs together, but I was there with the family and it was lovely.
Oh man, yes, so welcome back to South Africa. It must be incredible to be reunited again with your people and to see all the things that you used to see in the past.
Honestly, it feels so wonderful. I've had a lot of moments where I've just looked around me. I'm in the Western Cape right now, so it's beautiful landscape, like just the trees, the mountains, the farms, everything. And I feel really fortunate. I feel really happy that I've made the decision. I feel really excited. I appreciate it so much more coming from just a big city with big buildings and city life just so far. Driving through the Western Cape and being with family, it's just been incredible. You know, like spending time with the people you love and care again. Not having to call them because they're right there, and yeah, just taking it all in, taking big, deep, fresh breaths because the air here is beautiful and clean, and we should appreciate that more often because it's not clean everywhere else.
Yeah,
it's been wonderful. Yeah, it's been amazing.
So, is there anything that you specifically miss about China?
You know what? Not really. On one hand. It was very convenient there. Like if you wanted something, even it was like 8 p.m. You could just order on your phone, and when it would arrive within an hour, and it would be, at the same price or cheaper than what you would have went to the store. So I mean, that convenience I kind of miss, but I haven't felt the need for that yet. I've been spending time with family, and when there's a group of you, between 5 or 10 people, you can always get everything sorted. You don't miss anything. I've been so present in conversations, learning from my family, catching up, sharing experiences that I don't really miss anything yet. I miss, it was tough to say goodbye. It was really sad. I miss the place because that's where I built a life. That's where I got married. That's where I got engaged as well.
Oh, wow.
Like my wife and I, we built a life there, it's like, Imagine selling everything you have in your house right now and just getting on an airplane and leaving and having to do it all again.
Yeah.
It's difficult. That part is a bit sad and challenging, but I definitely don't wish I was back there. I'm really, really, really happy I'm here.
Awesome. So today we're talking about navigating difficult life decisions. I don't know if this was a difficult decision for you moving to South Africa, but I mean it was still moving back to South Africa, but it was still a massive decision. Was it difficult for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the reason I wanted to talk about this today because it is difficult. I think any decision that's big is going to be difficult in some way because when it's big, it has a big impact on your life, and that makes giving up what you have or changing who you are now or changing what you have now makes it difficult. I think, was it difficult? It was difficult. We had a good job. We were earning a good salary. Life was easy and convenient. We didn't have to worry about our job covered medical insurance, so we didn't have to worry about that. We didn't need to buy a car, so you don't have to worry about car maintenance, all of that kind of stuff, insurance. That part was difficult to leave behind. The challenging part for us was figuring out what we're going to do here, and will we be able to adapt to a more difficult, more difficult daily experience, in the sense that we did have to worry about buying a car, we did have to worry about insurance, we do have to think now about, you're here now, you got to think medical aid, life insurance, all that kind of stuff. That's not stuff that we necessarily had to worry about in China, and it's not something that kind of a reality that faced us, But it was easy in the sense that we knew the way we felt in the last year and a half in China wasn't the way we wanted to feel. And so knowing that, we thought we don't want to feel like this anymore. And the question of where do you want to be next year is kind of, the answer was simple. We didn't want to be in China. So that answer made it easier for us because we could choose to come back home, and we have friends here, we have family here, we know the place, we can speak the language. So in that sense, it was both easy and difficult, But for a lot of people, I must tell you, like, people, it's a classic joke in China, like, when you come to China, you're like, I'm just going to stay here for 1 to 2 years, make some money, do. And you speak to people that have been there like 4, 5, 6, some even 10 years when they only wanted to be there for a year. And it's not necessarily because they fell in love with the place. It's because of how easy it is to be in your comfort zone in China, because it's a very convenient lifestyle. And for a lot of people, the decision is difficult because it's easy not to make it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. The comfort zone is a nice place to be in, but as they say, nothing grows there.
Yeah. It's, the classic thing of, I was actually speaking to one of my clients today about this. People often, we call, the pros and cons list. It's like, the pros and cons, that's like something of the past, but it's still very relevant to making any decision. You have to decide, okay, if we stay in China longer, pro, we'll be able to earn money, a lot of money easily. Con, we will be unhappy every day. Con, we will be working in a job that we don't necessarily want to do for the rest of our lives. Things like that. Pro, we don't have to worry about, paying medical aid because it gets covered by our company. Things like that. So making that list and seeing, and then also I would take the pros and cons list one step further and evaluate the impact of the pro and of the con. Like saying, I feel unhappy or I wake up unhappy. Like, how much does that impact your life on a scale of like 1 to 10 versus now I have to pay medical aid? Like the impact of those things are different. So sometimes you can have a list where maybe there are a lot of pros and not a lot of cons to your decision. But if the cons are, high impact things, they deserve more weight. Do you understand what I'm getting at?
Yeah. And also, if your decision affects other people, that also complicates matters. If it's not just, if it's not just your decision and your life, if you have other people involved as well and how it will affect them, then things get a little bit more complicated.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's why it's so useful. You've got to reach out to these people that it's affecting. You have honest conversations with them, with the right intention. I love working with my clients and framing conversations, because sometimes we're scared or we're unsure about how to have difficult conversations. I don't think a lot of us kind of grow up learning the skill of having difficult conversations, but it's so important how you frame it. If you know that this decision is going to affect somebody else. A buddy of ours, when we left China, we sold our e-bike to him, and just before we greeted and said goodbye to him, he told us that, my wife and I's marriage inspired him because him and his girlfriend were able to have conversations about big decisions that they were making because of the way that we handled things, or the way he could see we handle things. So framing the conversation is very important, where it's not always a case of, I want to make this decision, screw what you think.
Yeah.
It's really about taking other person's perspective into consideration. And even take it, I love doing this with my clients as well. Ask them, what would you do? How do you feel about this? What do you believe about this situation? Do you know anybody who's made a decision like this before? It's a really powerful, we speak about perspective a lot. Shifting the perspective, pretend it's your buddy, your friend making this decision. What would you tell your friend to do? What do you think a hero of yours, pretend that it's like one of your role models who are making this decision. What would they do that you're not doing? What would they consider that you're not considering? What are they not doing or not saying or not thinking that you're thinking? Just checking these different perspectives, it just adds a lot of kind of insight to your decision and to the situation that you're in, which ultimately will help you to make a better decision, right? It'll help you to make a better decision. Because I don't think anybody can look at your life and tell you this decision is right or this decision is wrong. You've just got to do what you think is best for yourself or for the people you care about in your circumstances. So I wanted to talk about also how my wife and I, how we decided to come back to South Africa. I think I wanted to go a bit more in depth about that because it's a real life example. So initially, this was now last year, 2023, we started feeling, and I think this is the first point I want people to remember. Feelings are your guide. Your feelings show you, they illuminate your state of being. They illuminate what your body's thinking or what your mind is thinking or trying to tell you. By listening to your feelings, you can start to get a sense of, am I in the right place? Am I valued here? Is this where I am going to be happy? Because if you start to feel bad, like we started to wake up with less energy, we started to feel more anger and frustration, we started to look outwards at other places and other people, and we started to not wish we had their lives, but we saw value or joy in what they were doing, and we didn't see that necessarily in what we were doing. So the first point that we focused on was our feelings. And again, in your relationships or if you're not married or with a partner, asking your friends and family, sharing your feelings with them and getting their input on that is so valuable. So check your feelings. The second thing that we did, like I mentioned, is the pros and cons. We really thought about, what are the benefits, what are the disadvantages. And important with pros and cons, I would say, are two things. The first one is to measure the impact of whichever con you're doing. So you don't just have one column for pros and one column for cons. You have, within the pros column, you would have, another one for the impact of it, the impact of this pro or this benefit or this advantage or disadvantage. And the second point that you need to be aware of with pros and cons is sometimes they shift with time. So for my wife and I, let's say, I can't remember the exact date, but let's say it was like June, July, August, we started feeling like this is not where we shouldn't continue doing this too long. If we had decided, right, December, we're moving back home, I think that probably wouldn't have been the best decision for us because we wouldn't have given ourselves time to just reach that goal of how much money we want to save or finish checking off some things that we want to still do in China or do around in Asia with our friends. So taking into account a timeline is very important when you're making big decisions because the advantages and disadvantages kind of shift with time, For example, leaving China immediately, I lost out on, it would have been me losing out on like 8 months of coaching experience that is incredibly valuable to me now. It's 8 months of savings that's incredibly valuable to us now. And from there, my wife loves speaking about this, and I gotta share this today. Another question we asked that people often don't is, we decided, let's say for argument's sake, we choose June 1st, we're leaving. You choose and you have like a hypothetical, I'm choosing this date, I'm choosing this thing. And you ask yourself, why not? It was such a, like when my wife brought it up in our conversation, I realized, because we chose a date, we chose June, and we asked ourselves, why not? And we both sat there quietly for like maybe a few seconds, a minute or two, and we realized there's really not a good reason why not. And I feel like if you answer that question, if you answer why not, the decision is clear, the solution is clear. If you hypothetically choose something and you can ask yourself, why not? And you come up with a whole bunch of reasons why you shouldn't do this thing. There's going to be two possibilities. Firstly, the reasons could be really logical, reasonable, like you don't have enough savings or you'll regret leaving too. But you could also, by asking this question, why not, if you mentally or on a piece of paper come up with a few reasons, you could start to see how your own doubts, your own beliefs, your own fears, there's a great chance that these will start to come up. And those are the things that you need to focus on, because that's not just helping you make this decision. That kind of stuff, if you let go of them, if you work with a coach or work with whoever to help you kind of work through those fears and those doubts and reframe them, then that's going to set you up to make not just this decision well, but all the decisions in your life, how you can just make better decisions overall. So that's kind of what we did after we chose why not. And it's important that you take time as well to make the decision. It shouldn't be something that just kind of happens. You actually need to sit. We actually canceled one of our holidays. We were supposed to go away like after Christmas, but we decided to cancel it to take time to really focus on this decision, give ourselves time early in the day when our minds are still fresh, when we aren't tired from the day or fatigued from making decisions, to really sit and make this decision. And I think that kind of process really helped us, where we let our feelings guide us. We made a list of advantages and disadvantages. We checked the impact, the timeline, and then you hypothetically choose a few dates or choose this decision or that decision, and you check why not. So that's kind of how we did it in our marriage. I hope that's helpful to people out there.
Yeah, thank you so much, Andre, for sharing that personal story with us. I think that's great, and I love the way you guys, operated and how you actually pulled it off. Congratulations. I think it's fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you, yeah. Now we can work on how do I help my clients to make these decisions, right?
Yes.
I feel like we should go there now. Okay, so the first thing that I love to do with my clients is often people get very kind of vague about decisions. And it's very easy to get kind of vague in general, You could just tell yourself, like, I just don't think this is a good idea, or this is a bad idea. But the first thing I help my clients to do is get really, like, super specific about which part of it is difficult. You've got to pinpoint what's the difficult part. Because within a decision, there are things that are easy and things that are difficult. For example, our decision moving back home, wondering, do we want to be close to our family? That's a no-brainer. Obviously, we wanted to. That's not the difficult part, right? But the difficult part, let's say, was, do we want to give up this job that's providing a good income? Or do we want to say goodbye to our friends in China? Or, we had to find that difficult part. So for my clients, I help them to pinpoint exactly what the difficult part is of the decision they're making. And sometimes it's external. There generally is perhaps finances or, some relational issue that making the decision difficult. Sometimes it's internal. It's a personal fear or a doubt or a worry or a negative belief. So after I've helped them do that, then we move on to values. Now, this is where it gets very important, because we all have conscious values and we have subconscious values. Conscious values are those values that we're aware of. Like if I were to ask you now, Eon, tell me what's important to you. The things that you would tell me, those are your conscious values. Those are the things that you've chosen consciously as being important to you. Your subconscious values, these values are less obvious to you. In my coaching program, I do have a set of questions that helps to identify a person's subconscious values. But these values they're the real drivers of your life. So, for example, a lot of people would say that exercise and health is very important to them. This is a conscious value. But subconsciously, when you look at their life, how they're spending their time or their money, they're not exercising, they're watching a lot of TV or something like this, then you can see that the subconscious value that's driving their life and their decisions is not in line with the conscious value. So I help my clients to find the difference between these two, because often the subconscious value makes the bigger difference or the bigger impact in their life. And if we can find values that are not in line with the decision they want to make, then I help them to change those values, help them to reframe them or recondition them so that it's stored in their subconscious mind, so that it's automatic, it's driving their life already. So we look at values, because values are a big thing. If my wife and I, for example, didn't care about being around family, moving to South Africa specifically might not have been the best place. Moving to another country could have been a better option. But because family is important to us, it's an important value, that made moving to South Africa an easier, a better choice, let's say, compared to another choice. So then I help my clients as well look at the pain points. What are they thinking? What are they saying to themselves? What are they believing or feeling internally that's making this decision difficult? if you want to buy a house or move to a new city or something like that, there are going to be parts within you that, one day you might wake up and you might feel, this is a great idea, or you have a bad day at work and you think, I just need to get away from this place. And the next day you might feel, but am I good enough to do this, do I deserve to be happy? When you dig deep, sometimes that's a question that comes up with people. Or about how exactly am I going to do this, When I make this decision, how am I going to do all these things? I don't know how to do all these things. There are fears and worries and doubts that come up within conversations that I have with my clients that really, we need to understand those, because like I mentioned earlier, once we understand those, I can help my clients to let go of those fears, those doubts, that worry, help them to reframe it and empower them to fill that space where that worry used to be with something more positive, something more empowering. So I really help my clients. I would say that's the biggest focus of what I do, because once you can let go of those beliefs that tell you that you're not good enough to move, or you don't have enough money to do this, or it's too scary, there's too many things I don't know how to do. Once you can let go of those beliefs, my clients, they feel empowered to make those decisions and to make big decisions that really impact their life positively. Whether that be a decision that's external, like people can see they moved to a new place, or whether it's a decision within themselves, just to love themselves, to be confident, to say no to things they don't want. That's a really important part of what I do. And the last part that kind of rounds it off, that helps them make the best decision possible, is their identity. When you decide to quit smoking, or that you're going to travel the world for a year or something like this, or quit your job, you've got to make that identity shift, right? If you see yourself as a smoker, but you want to quit smoking, what's going to happen? You're going to keep smoking. If you see yourself as a person who just stays in this place, and I don't like change, I don't like new things, the unknown is scary. If you see yourself as this person, yet you want to travel the world or you want to go somewhere, you're not going to be able to do it because your identity doesn't match the decision you want to make. So I help clients change parts of their identity about how do you want to see yourself so that you can make this decision. And I don't want it to be confused with like a personality change where I make somebody, I change fundamentally who they are, but it's always positive changes. We don't want to get rid of any positive stuff. There's a healthy part to loving safety and stability, because it helps you. It's a great platform for you to grow. But if fears and doubts and worries and uncertainties getting in the way of the positive parts of your self-image or identity, we want to get rid of those and boost or maximize the positive parts, because like I said, you can't make a decision that's not aligned with your identity. So I help my clients to do that, to work on their self-image. Just today, I was helping my client in each of our sessions now, with him specifically. We have a period where we let go of the things that we don't want, and then I help him to write down, to figure out, to create his new self-image, to help him think about how does he want to see himself in this situation, or when that happens, what does he want to do? Who does he want to be when something happens, or when a friend says something hurtful or judgmental to him? These are really important things that you've got to think about and practice and kind of visualize. You've got to program that into yourself so that when that situation arises, you can make the best decision possible. And the last thing I would say that all of us need in our life, especially when making decisions, is confidence. If you exude doubt and worry and uncertainty when you're making a decision, what are you going to get in return? You're going to get a decision or experience that is not exactly how you want it to be. But if you exude confidence because you've done your homework, you know how this decision will impact your life, and you're confident in yourself, in your worth, that this decision is right for you and you deserve whatever you're choosing to have in this next moment, that's just going to do wonders for you, because no matter what happens, you'll be able to face it, and you'll be able to overcome challenges and just take on the world with confidence. One of the greatest qualities that people can have, leaders, whether you want to be a leader or you just, in your finances, every aspect of your life. You need to be able to make decisions. You need to be able to make them quickly. If you want to change your mind, you need to do it slowly or not at all. Really, it's a skill making decisions, and it's a very, very crucial habit that I just love helping clients build that aspect of themselves.
Andre, thank you so much. This was very, very interesting as always, and thanks for helping us understand decision making, especially the difficult ones, a little bit better, and from sharing your own experience with us as well. Can you give us your website again and your contact details? I see the podcasts are finally up on your website. I checked now.
They're up
under
there,
resources. Yeah. Very, very nice. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, they're there. So if you go to andrenelcoaching.com, www.andrenelcoaching.com, you can find my homepage. It gives all the details. There's a coaching page which gives even more details. You can learn about me on the About Me page. I've got my qualifications there. I'm going to be furthering those qualifications as well soon. And then you've got the resources page where you can listen to the podcast. Now that I have more time and I'm doing this full time, I'm going to be adding more useful resources. I'm planning on adding a few like kind of downloadable things. Some of the stuff that we've spoken about in this podcast, I'm aiming to put them in kind of, like short worksheet kind of formats that people can download and use for themselves, like totally free, that will really help them to implement some of the stuff we've spoken about. And of course, there's my bookings page where you can book yourself a free coaching session. All the times are there. And you can get the first session absolutely free, where I'll absolutely love to help you just get some more clarity, feel energy and inspiration, and see what it could look like once you let go of all the challenges that you have and kind of create the self and the beliefs that you want to have. So andrenelcoaching.com. And my email is andre@andrenelcoaching.com. So I'm speaking on behalf of my wife now. I think if everybody takes only one thing from this conversation, is that I would say make a decision hypothetically and ask yourself why not. I think if I had to boil everything down into one single actionable statement, it would be make a decision. Don't have to act on it yet. Make a decision and ask yourself why not. Ask your friend why not this. And I think you'll get a lot of useful stuff to work with that will help you make the right decision. And the second one is, could you please share that WhatsApp number again so that people can maybe phone in or message in with some decisions they're facing that we could potentially help with in the next episode.
Of course, and then you can also remain anonymous if you feel that it's too personal. We won't hold it against you. 061 253 0670. 061 253 0670.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jon. It's been a pleasure chatting with you again.
Yes.
I hope this podcast was valuable to everybody, and woo! I'm back in South Africa. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you back in South Africa, and hopefully we'll see you face to face in the very foreseeable future.
Everybody's in Swellendam. Yeah, I'm in Swellendam now. Worcester, Paul, the paddle. That's where I'm going to be for the next few months.
Just give him a hoot.
Give me a hoot, yeah. just walk in the streets and shout, Andre! And I'm sure
that's creepy.
I'm sure I'll hear you, yeah.
That's a bit scary,
But I love making connections and speaking to anybody who's open and willing. So
awesome. Until next week, same time, same place, Andre.
Thank you so much. Bye. Moving from stuck to unstoppable is an empowering journey when you're working with a great coach. So take the opportunity and tune in every Tuesday at 10 a.m. on eRadio SA with me, Andre Nel, Mindset and Life Transformation Coach. Propel yourself into the realm of your untapped potential and break free from the invisible chains of your limitations. Book a free discovery coaching session with me by heading over to my website, www.andrenelcoaching.com. See you there.